Good evening. Welcome to episode 2 of ManGuard Rovers Live here on YouTube.
Hello.
Myself, Sean, and joined here by Phil. Unfortunately, Nathan's not with us tonight. So it's just
You say unfortunate, but some people say fortunate.
first Premier League game, first weekend. What do you think? Have we
It's
enjoyed it?
amazing.
Normality?
The summer drought is over. I no longer have to put myself through the 100. I can watch a proper sport again. It's been brilliant. And all those Manchester United fans back in your box.
Well, we've got plenty to discuss on Man United, and we'll get to them later on, I'm sure. But yeah, it's been nice. It's been a nice return to what feels like a long summer of shit
Really, yeah.
football. So back to the real stuff. So it kicks off Friday night, Liverpool, Bournemouth. A lot of expectation on Liverpool. Thoughts? Did you see the game?
Do you know what? I did watch the game. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. I was there, queued up, popcorn ready, watching with on the edge of my seat. And you know what? There was a moment, 76 minutes in, when I thought, as I'm wearing my Arsenal heart on my sleeve, that I was like, "Oh no way, this is going to happen. Bournemouth are going to pull off a dream." And then Liverpool just clicked into overdrive, didn't they? To be fair, but it looked like a completely different Liverpool team. I mean, defence must still be on holiday. Must be back to Nathan or something in his bags. Like, just where were they?
There was two moments for me. I mean, there was two moments in the game for me, and we'll come on to what we predicted in a second. But just before we do go into all that, what about, like I said, the defensive show from Liverpool? Like Canate looked like he was running away from the ball at one point, as were Van Dijk.
You're such a. Do you know what? There's a couple of the top teams done that though. Like, you know, I don't know, I'm biased, but same with Arsenal. The defense just looked really shaky, and Liverpool just. I don't know whether Kirkes was just thrown off by playing against his old teammates, or he was just like super keen to impress and demonstrate that he's a Liverpool player now. But he looked a couple of times like he'd lost his head. I mean, that tackle for his yellow card was just bizarre. Just no need to make it, going nowhere. And yeah, just the number. I mean, I think they put a stat on Sky, didn't they, where they've already equaled in the first match the total number of counter-attacking goals conceded in the entirety of last season in one match. Like, they only conceded 2 counter-attack goals in all last season, and obviously both Bournemouth goals were counter-attacking goals. So they really got hit hard in the transition. But I mean, they definitely seem to be lying. I mean, I'm sure Slot will do something to sort it out because he's a good manager, isn't he? But fundamentally, at the minute, you know, that last 10 minutes, they absolutely clicked into kind of, you know, you score 4, we'll score more sort of mode, and just like, you know, they're absolutely terrifying going forward. They really are. So it's yeah, it was a cracking attacking display, but you think they need to tighten up defensively against teams that are going to control the ball a bit better than Bournemouth. But Semenyo looked good. You know, Bournemouth looked far better than I thought they would, considering how they've been devastated through the transfer. Well, from a distance, we thought they'd been devastated through the transfer window, but Iraola definitely had them organised and shaped well, and you know, they certainly look like they're going to give a lot of teams a difficult match because they didn't make it easy for Liverpool, and obviously, you know, we'd all clock Liverpool still as one of the best teams, if not the best team in the country. So. Yeah, it was a really, really fantastic opening. We got our first VAR error well into the first half, didn't we? That ridiculous, you know, how they missed that red card is quite staggering. And then
the handball.
Well, it was what I found amusing on Sky. I do find it funny when they let Gary Neville commentate on United and they let Jamie Carragher commentate on Liverpool, because you know that the handball was the biggest travesty in the world ever for Jamie Carragher until Liverpool were 2-0 up, and then we just forgot about it, and it never happened, which was crazy. But and obviously VAR changed their excuse, didn't they? At half time, they changed their what they said as to why they didn't give it, which was interesting. But I mean, you know, we don't want to see matches with red cards, obviously. You know, but I mean, it was blatant, absolutely blatant, and really, you know, what's the point of the VAR being there? It's not going to pick it up. But you know, fantastic at everything, didn't it? Had goals, tackles, you know, jeopardy for Liverpool up until that last 5 minutes. Like I said, VAR controversy, good saves, good shots. You know, really, you know, and fair play. I think we were all hoping every match we saw a well-respected silence for Diogo Jota, which was really good. It's tragic in it, but at least, I mean, every match I watched, you know, everybody seemed to show it the respect it deserved, which is good. So yeah, absolutely everything, didn't it? And I mean, to be fair, you'd have to be pretty stone-hearted for that bit at the end with Mo Salah clapping the cop not to catch you in the throat a little bit. So yeah, I thought it was a fantastic. I mean, you know, obviously, I suppose an element of just missing Premier League football, but it pretty much had absolutely everything you'd want in a Premier League opener, other than Liverpool won it. But that's my bias coming out, to be fair. But I think I predicted Liverpool win, and so did you, didn't you? So
You did, yeah. I put myself down 3-0. Yourself had 2-0, and Nathan had 3-1 to Liverpool. So we all predicted the correct result, not the correct score.
The sheer firepower is just fabulous, you know. And
it's easier with a good goal for his debut.
Yeah, I mean, he got a little bit lucky with the bounce, didn't he? But I mean, it was a cool finish.
Yeah,
you know, and he looked really good. He looked really fiery. It's really interesting when you watch that. And I know it's a part of the later conversation probably about Newcastle and Isak, but it does make you wonder why they're so desperately going after Isak. Like, you know, because Ekitike must be showing that in training, and I get you want strength in depth and stuff, but he looked good. He looked strong. He looked powerful. Come, you know, dropping short, running behind. They certainly don't look like they're going to have an issue from a number of different positions, to be fair, do they? And then obviously Salah, you know, seemingly had a really, really quiet game, and yet somehow still pops up with a goal without even trying. So they just looked really powerful. But like we said, we thought we'd have too much firepower for Bournemouth.
I think for me, for Liverpool, it's going to be a case that they're just going to outscore people. I think they'll be vulnerable.
I'm always a bit Alex Ferguson on that one, though. Do you know what I mean? It's all right. You know, Bournemouth looked organised, fair play, but it's all right doing against Bournemouth, but you're not going to do that against Manchester City. You're not going. I mean, you know, you're not going to do that against what you'd imagine Chelsea and Arsenal. You know, so you'll get away with it against the lower teams. It's how they get on your top 6 or 7, isn't it? That'll you would expect to define all the top teams, really. You know, but fantastic game. Really good way to start the season off.
Moving on then. So Saturday we saw a goalless draw between Newcastle and Villa. I predicted a draw. I predicted one apiece. Unfortunately, we waited for goals that didn't come on Saturday. Pretty disappointing performance for both teams. To be fair, Liverpool, Aston Villa never really came out of the box at all. They're a bit. Some of the passing was dubious, questionable at times. They just don't look like they wanted to get going.
Yeah,
we dominated 65% of the game, but we had Gordon up front, and nothing seemed to materialise for us. We definitely showed signs that we're missing an out-and-out centre forward. Gordon can play that role through the middle. Drop for him on the left, absolutely. I think he's much better on the left. Barnes started on the left, obviously, because Gordon was run down the middle. It was just a bit
makeshift.
The chances weren't there.
It was makeshift. If Friday night was everything you want to see from a Premier League match, Saturday lunchtime was everything you don't want to see. Like with the best will in the world, you know, you've got, like you say, your boys, you know, thanks to Isak's, well, whether you blame Isak or the club doesn't really matter, but thanks to the shenanigans, you know, Newcastle side lacks balance. You know, we've talked last week. I know Nathan to some degree disagrees, but I think we agree that we think Villa have seemingly taken steps backwards in this transfer window, and obviously they were missing the goalkeeper suspended still from last season, and obviously going down to 10 men doesn't help. So I think, you know, we debated last week on the show, I think, didn't we, that, you know, Newcastle and Villa probably at best at the moment have trod water in the transfer window, and at worst have taken steps backwards. And I think really that's what that match showed. Like, you know, Villa didn't look as organised and as motivated as they often do, and Newcastle clearly, you know, you lack that focal point that Isak gave you, and even Callum Wilson gave you when he was on the pitch previously. But you know, Anthony Gordon, a thankless task. He's not a centre forward. He's like when Mourinho tried to do it for Arsenal last season. He can try his best, but he's not a natural striker. The runs don't come naturally. He's got to work so much harder because he's got to. It doesn't come second nature to him, does it? He's got to consciously think, this is where I need to be running. Whereas an Isak or a Wilson, they're running without thinking about it and being found. So it's not his position, and it's not going to end well unless something changes rapidly for Newcastle.
This talk of Whistler coming in, apparently there's some news coming out of Brentford this evening that they're kind of refusing to let him go. So it's potentially a bit of a saga for him as well now. So Brentford apparently have told Newcastle now that they're not going to entertain any offers under 60 million now for him.
The trouble is, it's dominoes now, isn't it? Because for Brentford, they let him go, and I appreciate they played without him at the weekend, but they let him go. They've got to find someone, and if they're going to price somebody else out of another club, the other club is going to demand a shitload of money, because they're also then going to have the domino of they've got to go and find a striker. So like you're going to end the trouble with now. The trouble with anything not doing your business early, and I know appreciate it's not Newcastle. Is it Newcastle? I don't know. I watched a few bits on this week. Some interesting different takes. Some of whom don't really blame Isak, saying obviously, you know, you look at trying to sign Delap, trying to sign João Pedro, trying to sign Sesko. You know, from what I hear, and you will know more than me, the seemingly generic or accepted take now is that Newcastle agreed with Isak he could leave, and the only reason they now haven't let him is because they have not been able to sign somebody else. And to try to balance it out, to be fair to Isak, if you'd been promised you could leave a job because someone else was getting brought in, and then the company will find someone else, you're going to be like, well, hang on a minute, you promised me I could go. The fact you've not found someone, when does it become the club's problem rather than my? Like, why do I have to sacrifice my career when you've openly tried to sign other strikers? So I don't know, it's 6 or 1/2 doesn't matter. But either way, it's now a complete shitty mess for both of them because, like you say, now Brentford are going, well, we don't want to give you Wissa because we've got to replace him, and how do we replace him with 3 weeks to go? Because they probably haven't got anyone lined up either. So, it's just turned into a bit of a messy situation. But back to the match, I think that's what that performance showed for both teams. I think like I said, we talked about in last week's show. You know, so you've got the Newcastle badge on your heart, and Nathan's got Villa on his. But I think in general, when you stand back and look at it with trying to be as dispassionate as you can, both teams have had a really, really shit transfer window. Like I say, trod water at best. I mean, Langer looked good, to be fair.
Langer does look good, yeah. He had a good chance.
It's just same, you know, even if you put, you know, even if Barnes had been on the bench and Gordon goes out left, it's thankless if you've got no one to aim at. Like you can look as good as you want without a focal point. So, trust me, I know as an Arsenal fan from last year. So, you know, I think both teams were showing what we thought. Really, they've had a pretty poor transfer window and both teams lacking momentum coming into the season, really, and needing to find it somehow. So, and obviously Aston Villa shot themselves in the foot with Conte getting sent off because that's going to hinder them even more. So,
that annoyed me slightly because part of me does think Gordon could have rode that and got him found himself clean through. I get why he went down, but
football, isn't it? That's the trouble.
Yeah, I do think if that was Isak, he burns through and it's 1-0.
Difference in instinct again, I suppose, isn't it? If you've got that subconscious belief in your finishing, you try and stay on your feet. If you're worried you might miss the chance, you go, well, I'll get him sent off. I'll rely on the fact that then we'll probably create chances against 10 men, and it's like rolling a problem down the road, isn't it? Well, we're bound to create something against 10 men. Yeah. Whereas, like you said, Isak, who's not thinking like that, and Isak's just subconscious. Well, I've got a chance to get my goal, so see you later.
Yeah, see you later. Well, me and you both predicted a draw for that one. Nathan predicted a Villa win, 2-0. That didn't happen. And then we had the interesting game of Brighton and Fulham. You predicted 1-0, Phil. Sorry, you didn't. You predicted 2-1 to Fulham. I predicted 2-0 to Brighton, and Nathan predicted 1-0 to Brighton as well.
Yeah, I think again both teams have had from a distance, but both teams had relatively flat transfer windows. From a Fulham point of view, Marco Silva wasn't very impressed with the support, how he feels the support he had from the board. It was one of them games that felt like it was going to be really, really close. You know, I'm always a bit low to predict a draw. I'd rather think there's going to be a winner, and obviously up until 90-something minutes, it looked like you and Nathan were right and Brighton edged it, but I think we all thought it'd be quite a close run affair, to be honest, and there's not much separating those. Probably everybody expects those two teams to be, you know, upper mid-table in the similar spots. Probably going to have pretty similar seasons where they'll take a couple of big scalps. They'll lose to some of the teams you think should get battered, and you know, I think the game pretty much did what we thought it would be, which is not have any particularly massive highlights, but be pretty tight, pretty edgy, and probably the one thing it did give us was the drama of that late equaliser. Really, you know, that probably sparked the game up. Really, apart from that, it was a pretty steady away Premiership game that kind of, you know, two mid-table teams, unless you support them, you'd just drift past and fast forward on match of the day, wouldn't you? Like, but you know, like I say, it gave us a bit of late drama, but yeah, two teams that look pretty evenly matched, to be honest. I think
Saliba's been linked with a move to Old Trafford. Apparently, that's not going to happen now.
It's just really weird. Really weird. Like, you know, Man United have no money. They've spent 200 million quid. Somehow, you know, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, they can find 100 million quid to bid for Saliba. Obviously, Brighton, you know, don't want to sell him. I think Brighton hang on to him, to be fair.
Yeah, I think so as well. Just as an interesting little point for you as well, is there's someone in the fantasy league. I don't know if you've seen the name. I'm a believer.
Yeah, no,
Man United fan. There's a Man United fan. Rafe, where are you?
They just need to get a grip. That's what they need to do. Yeah, I don't know. I just think I wonder whether Man United just thought they could financially bully Brighton and try and unsettle the player, and they dangled some cash and something. Burma was like, "Oh, I'm not playing for Brentford. I really want to United." They flashed Cunha's release clause and said, "I don't want United." I wonder if they just thought the same thing with Belieber, and Brighton are always seemingly pretty good at keeping their players pretty level-headed, and it seems that they've managed that disruption. Gone, hang on a minute, you're not bullying us. If you hit our price, you can have him, but if you don't hit our price, Dion Warwick, walk on, carry on.
Talking about prices, Sunderland spent well this summer, and obviously they carried that into the opening weekend themselves with a nice, comfortable win against West Ham. I put down that Sunderland would win 2-0. That was my prediction. Yourself had Sunderland to win 1-0, and Nathan had a 1-1 draw. But well done, Sunderland. Good effort.
It was cauldron, wasn't it? It was everything that you and I thought it might be. Really, that they absolutely capitalised on that home atmosphere, on that home support. They looked really well organised. West Ham, broadly speaking, looked like, I think we touched on last week's show, looked like they were lacking passion, lacking intent. I mean, to be honest, since he left Brighton, Potter's teams have just looked weak, just lacking in belief. And then he looks like he's lacking in belief as well. He didn't sound like he had. Again, he sounded very much like the interviews he gave at Chelsea, like he didn't particularly have the answers when he was talking after the match. So, really worrying sign. Well, I think I mentioned last week, I think this season will be the season West Ham fans realise that how good David Moyes did with them, to be fair, and maybe they should have been careful of what they wish for. But Sunderland looked really well organised. Obviously, shout out to my boy Granit Xhaka, looked absolutely tip top in his return back to the Premier League, and Sunderland, like I said, really organised. Fair play, that last goal as well. It's not like they were shutting up shop; they were still looking for that goal, and right at the end, which is what we want to see. So no, fantastic. I thought they played really, really well. I thought they absolutely deserved it, and I think when you look back at our predictions, I think there's a few of us who have not got all three of the promoted teams going down, and I think they showed what I think we talked about in the off season. I know we weren't live on the show, but in the off season, that teams that come up need to play a certain way. They need to acknowledge the fact that they are now the little fish in the big pond, and they need to step off a bit. Your Vincent Kompany approach and the ridiculous approach of Southampton last season and Ipswich last season. You need to recognise where you are, recognise you've gone from being the big team in the Championship to the small team in the Premiership, and adjust your game accordingly. And I think Sunderland did that with absolute bells on. Absolutely played the perfect game against the West Ham team. As I said, it looked like they're lacking in confidence and belief. Perfect performance from a promoted team. Really, 3 points on the board, season off and running, home win to keep the fans happy. Whatever happens in the next 2 or 3 games, they bought themselves time to get organised in the division, and that's crucial for them to get some good feeling. So, really good job for them. Like I said, new signings look good. Like I said, spent well. So.
Tottenham and Burnley. You had Tottenham down to win 3-0. You also had
did I?
That didn't turn out quite as expected, but I'll give you the realistic prediction that you put down, which was 3-0. Richarlison, what a performance!
You know what? I'm so equally cheerful and devastated by that Tottenham result. I'm not going to lie. So, as I said to you last week, I said to the show last week, I love Thomas Frank. I'm really happy for him to start the game with a win. I think Tottenham looked really good, which showed he got them organised, which was good for it. Like I say, I like Thomas Frank, so it's good for him off the back of that PSG result to bounce back with a win. Obviously, it's caveat that it's only Burnley. You are at home. They're a promoted team against a good football playing team on a big pitch. You would have thought it would favour Tottenham, and I mean, you just got to hate Richarlison, haven't you? I'm sorry, his attitude. He's a good player, but he's such a bad winner. He's such an arrogant so-and-so. He's such a bad winner, but he's got skill and talent for days. I know that finish for his second goal was just lovely, but he's just such an arrogant, cocky sod. Do you know what I mean? If he could just be a bit more humble, It'd be a lot going for him, but yeah, devastated that he scored 2 of the goals. But no, I'm really happy for Thomas Frank. Like I said, Tottenham played like last season. Well, improved on last season. That they're still playing a lot of good football, but they looked more solid at the back. They looked more of a unit. And I guess if you're a Tottenham fan, if you're Daniel Levy, that's exactly what you wanted Thomas Frank to bring. Keep Ange Postecoglou's attacking football, but give us some kind of defensive structure. And they did that for Burnley's part. They didn't look disorganised. They didn't look totally out of the depth. It didn't look. They didn't get totally danced around. But you're playing one of the best football inside. Forget last season's league position. You're playing one of the best football insides in the country on their pitch. It's a bigger pitch than they're used to. You're getting dragged from pillar to post because their passing's on point. They were fired up for it, even more so off the back of the PSG loss. I think very much, like I said, like you said, what we kind of predicted. Really, Tottenham had too much firepower for Burnley at Tottenham. So, but because I caveat that with it is only Burnley. Tottenham were at home, so let's see what happens the next few weeks. We'll get too carried. But it was a really good performance, and I'm really pleased, Thomas Frank.
Yeah, I don't know if you actually saw, but there was a little introduction to a new rule in the Burnley game. I don't know if you saw it. Now, Dubravka held onto the ball for 8 seconds, and Tottenham were awarded through the corner.
I did see it, and you know what? I had to watch it. I actually rewound it. So I saw the match on Match of the Day. I will admit to, but I actually watched it back and I counted the 8 seconds myself because I had to do double check to make sure ref would count. And fair play to it, I got to 9 seconds. So, and I said to my boy who was watching with me, I said, why did he give him 9 seconds, Dad, not 8? I said, because if you're the referee giving the first ever decision on that rule, you want to make sure you've given him his 8 seconds before you put your name on, put your head in the news. So he gave him 9 seconds, he held on to it. And do you know what? I liked it as well. Do you know what? It woke me up as well when I watched my boys the day after the Arsenal match. Every time Raya had the ball in his hands, and I'm like, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. Don't give Man United a corner. Do you know what I mean? So I like it. I like it. Speeds them up, makes them think. It's moving. I liked it.
I like it myself as well. I think it's going to speed the game up slightly, isn't it? We're not going to see all this troll of keepers holding on to the ball for 12, 15 seconds at a time, So yeah, no, I like it.
I much prefer. And if anyone's interested, get the referee's name memorised. It's bound to be a quiz question in the next 10 years. Who was the first referee to give that decision?
Right now, I'd have to Google it. Yeah. So we saw City come back the opening weekend, absolutely batter Wolves 4-0. Haaland with 2. Randers scored a lovely finish and also got himself a nice assist.
Haaland looked devastated. Looked like he looked broadly like we thought he'd had last season off, pretty much chilling out. Where he looked fired up. They looked fired up. They looked like they had a point to prove. As I think you've got the results there, haven't you? But I think all the predictions there. I think we all thought City would have too much firepower for Wolves.
Yeah,
they had too much firepower for Wolves. Wolves pretty much what we thought. They've suffered in defence. They've suffered in midfield. They've suffered in attack in the transfer window. They've not replaced anybody. And City, we all think that. I think we all agree that there's kind of that top 4 block at the minute that look like they've got the squads that are going to make it hard to challenge. And City did what you'd expect them to do and blew Wolves away and looked very, very, very impressive in the process. To be fair, and yeah, what you'd expect to see, strength off the bench and no real challenge or. Let's face it. I was watching the game in the pub, and kind of the second goal went in, and most of the pub was just like, "That's it, done." Do you know what I mean? Lots of interest at that point. Like Wolves aren't coming back from 2-0 down. It's just not going to. And it was over as a contest, wasn't it? Really, it was a little bit like watching a non-professional gladiator versus Spartacus, wasn't it? It was just waiting for the killing blow. So yeah, Haaland looked good. Like I said, new signings looked good. Ironically, the lad from Wolves looked good in defence.
Yeah, he looks really good. I think he scored quite highly this weekend on Fantasy Football. I think that's 7 or 8 points today, something like that. Nine. So
Trafford looked good. It's interesting what they're doing with the goalkeeper because I thought Ederson would still have probably got another season or 2 out of him. I still thought he was towards the top of his game, but seems like Donnarumma's going to come in and Ederson's going to be out the door, doesn't it? So interesting times, but do you
think James Trafford would have gone there if he'd have known that Donnarumma potentially was coming in? Or do you think it's just City being opportunist in the market and it's happening?
I think City being opportunistic. I think that Donnarumma reputationally has zero loyalty to wherever he goes. So I think they're going, look, we think Trafford's going to be the keeper who could be here for 10, 12 years as our number one. Mm-hmm. But he's still very, very young. So let's manage the risk. Let's bring Donnarumma in for 3 or 4 years, either be the number one or share the number one, whichever way we want to do it, with the idea being that when that's done, James Trafford will be the number one for the next decade. And I think that's what they're doing. And I think what they'll do with that is go, well, if James Trafford doesn't develop how we think he'll develop, we've still got one of the best goalkeepers in the world and we can fix it in a couple of years down the line. If James Trafford develops how we think he will, right, all we're saying to James Trafford is, you've got a couple of years where this is what we think you're going to be. We think you'll be our number one for a decade. It's yours if you develop onwards and do it. But, you must accept that right here, right now, Donnarumma's a better keeper. So take it as a 2-year understudy project, but then you're our man. I think, broadly speaking, that's what they're looking at. Because I think they think that Ederson probably is. I think they think Ederson's over the hill. So why push Trafford into the fire if you can get if Donnarumma's there and you can bring him in and take some of the pressure off James Trafford, knowing that he's your long-term option. I think that's where they are. But
yeah,
that's on James Trafford, isn't it? Does he develop how they want him to? So it's in his hands. I think you've got to, haven't you, if you're James Trafford and take this, because there's nothing against Newcastle instead, but I think if you're where he is and you've got the chance to go to, you might never get the chance again. I appreciate he could become a legend at Newcastle, but if you've been given the story that I just said to you, if that's correct, then you've got a chance of being a legend at Manchester City, who will almost certainly carry on winning trophies. So, I think it's a risky take, and I think if it doesn't work again, I think if it doesn't work for him at Man City, the likes of your Newcastles, your Tottenhams, your Villas would still take him. In 2 or 3 years' time, whereas it probably wouldn't be the other way around. If he didn't do perfectly at Newcastle, I don't think he'd ever be offered the move up. So I think he had to do it. But
yeah, no, good for him. Let's hope it works out for him. The Donnarumma deal's not even happened yet, so
exactly.
So yeah, Forest, obviously 3-0 against Brentford. They looked really good. Did Forest? Watched most of the second half. They looked really good.
I didn't think they would. I didn't think they'd look as good as that. They look absolutely they look like they've completely forgotten the last 5 games last season and picked up where they were when let's face it, almost everybody in the country, Forest, we were all praying for Forest to get Champions League football, and not to spite anybody else, but I remember you weren't, to be fair, but as a neutral, we all wanted them to get that fairy tale dream story, didn't we, of getting in. All right, they missed out, but no, like you said, they looked like they'd forgotten those last few games where they choked a bit, and Nuno's got them back to where they were with a bit of belief with about 6 games to go. Rather than again, I mean, they're playing a Brentford team that's been devastated. I think again, context in all of this, isn't it? It's easy to get carried away. I mean, like we talked about last week, Brentford have been absolutely smashed in the transfer window. At the minute, obviously, Wissa's chucked his toys out of the pram like Isak has for you. So again, they've played without a striker. They've played. So if you think about, I think was it last season, Wissa and Mbeumo were over 45 goals or goal contributions between them. That's gone from the team. I mean, that's a massive miss. Then they've lost their captain. Then they've lost their manager. They've lost their keeper, haven't they? I mean, I know they've got Kelleher come in, and that is a really, really good replacement. I rate Kelleher a lot, but they've been absolutely smashed badly in the transfer window. And so you've got to probably have that in context. They're playing a Brentford team that's a lot weaker than it was. But no, they look strong. At the end of the day, you can only beat the team that's in front of you. And they look strong doing it. They did it with ease. They did exactly what you would want a top-end team that's competing in Europe to do, which is knock aside opposition that they should be stronger than on paper.
A couple of ex-Newcastle players in that team for us as well. Elliot Anderson and Chris Wood both look really good. Chris Wood's, again, 2 goals to his name already.
He looked like he was well fired up, bursting with confidence. Fair play to him. And I think, to be fair to him, he'll want to, won't he? Like, there's so many people appreciated what he did last season, but kind of like, well, it's a one-off in it. Every striker has one lucky season in their career, and is he really that good? So if you're him, you're going, do you know what? Screw you guys. I'm going to prove to you that it wasn't lucky. I'm going to prove to you that I should be here. Do you know what I mean? And I'm right welcome at the top table. So yeah, he looked fired up. He deserved his goals.
His first goal was class away. Just sort of,
it really was.
Yeah, he just can't describe how well he took that goal. It was a lovely finish.
It's very
so
un-Woodish.
did you see much of the Chelsea and Palace game?
Do you mean before or after I fell asleep? Like,
Yeah,
oh my
you and
days.
me both. Yeah.
What, do you know what? And what I don't even know what was left of my hair is gone after putting Cole Palmer and João Pedro into my fantasy football team. Just what an absolute talk about flatter to deceive. They had, they've danced rings around the Club World Cup and they've looked strong in pre-season. Palace have not had the best pre-season and they've got a lot of disruption at the minute around Gehi and Eze.
Yeah.
But what I don't know where Chelsea, the bus must have just gone to the wrong place for Chelsea. The team just didn't bother rocking up. Like, just unbelievable way to start your home campaign. And if I caveat what I said before, where we've talked about is there 4 super squads in this division competing and no one else will catch up. And well, because I know we'll come on to Arsenal, but Chelsea didn't. That's not a difficult fixture at home as a first. I get Palace was slippery and trickery last year, but you're at home. Like,
yeah,
you didn't even make Palace look like the home team most of that match. Palace looked like the team that were making the run in.
We all predicted Chelsea to win that game. Disappointed from Chelsea. I expected more. I expected more pace. I expected more aggression. But yeah, it just never seemed to happen.
It looked like they believed their own hype. It looked like they believe this. Well, we can just rock up and we're Chelsea and we're the best. We're the World Cup. We're the World Club champions, and we're just going to rock up and turn this team over. And Chelsea were like, "You're not doing that to us." Like, no, thank you. Yeah. And I think they just didn't take it seriously enough. And by the time they were taking it seriously, that last 10 minutes where they started, like, it's too late. Like, you should have been doing this 75 minutes ago. What you want to do, and what you want your team to do is if you're going to do that, you want to rock up, blow the team away in 45 minutes, and then chill out in the second half. Not chill out in the first half and then go, oh shit, we're nearly out of time. Now we better switch on. Like, do it when you've got time. And far too late, far too passive, I think, from Maresca in terms of his substitutions and his desire to change the game. And we talked about that last week. Chelsea got an unbelievable squad now, but is Maresca the right manager to take that squad on? He's the right manager to take instruction from the board. Is he the right manager to take the squad on to win the? Again, he's tactical. He's a bit.
He's got a lot of young lads in there, hasn't he? Not a lot of experience. So
Yeah, but it's one of them. It's one of them. It's another one like Arteta with questions around a Pep trainee who has picked up all the coaching goodness and all the tactical awareness and all the ideas from Pep, but Pep knows how to change a game in the middle of a game. It's a bit like Pep's the conductor in it, and almost like your Artetas and your Maresca, the leaders of sections in the orchestra. Do they have the nous to step up and actually control the orchestra in the game? Mm-hmm. Planning is fine, but we all know that old analogy: no plan survives contact with the enemy. You've got to be able to switch your plan and conduct your team in the middle of the game. And to your point about young lads, your players have got to be switched on enough to potentially switch what they're doing in the game. So, having a week's worth of training going, right, I don't know, right winger, you're always going to run down the right channel. You're always going to hook the ball across. And then 10 minutes in, have a shout at instructions, right, actually, that's not working. You're not going to do that. Now you're going to keep cutting inside and you're looking to look for that ball to the number 10 and having the intelligence to go, oh, right, I've trained for that for 6 days, but now I need to do this instead because we've established that that's not working. And it just all too passive, all too slow, just lacking the intensity that I thought they would have had. To be honest, I thought, and in the end, it's cost them. They've say if you take that supposed 4-pack we've talked about before, they're behind the 8 ball on game number 1. You don't want to be dropping points on the first weekend, particularly when you don't have the hardest fixture, and they didn't. So. Poor from Chelsea.
On the flip side, then, do you think it's a good point for Palace? Do you think they'll be happy with that? Good. Yeah, I think so too. I think
if you're in that, so many teams in London. If you can in the London environment, any of the London teams, if you can win 3/4 of your home matches, draw the rest, and if you can draw 3/4 of your away matches and only lose a quarter, your quid's in from a points perspective because there's so many teams in London. So to take a point at Stamford Bridge against the Chelsea team that everybody was predicting was strong coming from the off season, I think if you Palace, you take that quite happily back to Selhurst Park, don't you? And kind of go, thanks very much, job done. It's a decent start. A lot of our fans would expect us to get beaten. I think you said job well done, and particularly, I think we touched on just before we've gone live. You look at the debate around the free kick. And if you're a Palace fan, you're going, do you know what? We're probably a harsh VAR call away from bringing 3 points away from Stamford Bridge. So I think if you're a Palace fan,
I think Palace fans will be feeling hard done by, if I'm honest with you.
well, they'll feel like it's being ganged up on, particularly after that decision around the Europa League. So, it's one of them, and you can't get too caught up on the off-field stuff. The team played well. It was a good performance against one of the teams that you would predict would be a Champions League team, and they absolutely made them look not like a Champions League team. They made them look like ordinary opposition, and I don't think you can ask any more than that if you're Crystal Palace going to a Chelsea on day number 1. I think you would have, if you see that draw a couple of months ago, you're going, you know what, we'll take a point now and run, and I think they would have taken that before. Like you said, I think when you see the match, you probably feel hard done by didn't win, but in the context of the season, points good for Crystal Palace.
Looks like Eze could get his move. Sorry, I was just going to say then Eze looks like he's going to get his move. Looks like he's going to Spurs, and that'll be a massive loss for Palace given out.
Weird. Yeah. Why would he trade down? I don't get it. Like, he's better off at Palace. Like, who would move to Spurs? It's ridiculous. Why would you go to the smallest club in London? Makes no sense at all. Crazy decision. Can only be because Arsenal told him they don't want him. But bizarre. I'd stay at Palace.
All right. Well, big talking point of the weekend, obviously, was Man United and Arsenal. Did you watch the game?
Did I watch the game? I'll put it in context for the people who don't understand the world, right? So I support Arsenal. My boy supports Arsenal. My girl supports Arsenal. So I'm a little girl, that is, just to be clear. Meanwhile, my parents both support Man United. It is a very, very spicy day in this household when Man United play Arsenal, particularly bearing in mind the bragging rights for the first match of the season. So yes, the entire family was round. The entire family was in front of the TV. And my old man was very sad at the end of that match. At the end of the day, it was a demolition job by Arsenal. Smashed them and grabbed, maybe. But still, you know what I mean? What's the classic?
I don't think he played that well, though.
So the classic, I would say, the sign. What did they say? The sign of a great team is to play badly and still take the points.
You probably live and die by that motto as an Arsenal fan, to be fair.
Do you know what? I'll take it all day long. At the end of the day, going into that match, I think I said to you boys, going into that match, we'd won 2 matches in 18 years at Old Trafford. So do I care how we play? Do I care today? All the Man United fans I have, and I know quite a few of them, unfortunately, the stats that have been thrown at me today of like, we beat you on this and we beat you on this and we beat you on this and lovely, amazing. Remind me what the score was. There's only one stat that matters in football, and that's the score. Performance means nothing, right? You can talk performance all you like, score means everything. And fundamentally, and let's balance it off. You can stats it all you like. I don't know if you watched the match. Right. Do you remember any really clear-cut open chance that Man United had?
I think Raya made a few good saves, to be fair.
Raya made some saves, but when I say clear-cut chance that you go in, how on earth did the attacker miss that chance?
No, they were not on them. Which is why I don't understand why all these Man United fans are currently out there going, it's the best we've ever played, we're back.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm sorry, but I listened to his talk sport earlier, and a Man United fan came on the radio and it's like, yeah, I'm happy. Like, happy with what? Your performance? Yeah, really happy. Well, but you lost.
You're gonna go. I'm gonna say, look, you've got an Arsenal team that, and let's be brutal, right? I'll be brutal. I don't mind. Saliba and Gabriel didn't start the match till 16 minutes in, right? Declan Rice didn't turn up. Martin Odegaard didn't turn up. Bukayo Saka didn't turn up. Gabriel Martinelli didn't turn up. Gyökeres was marked out of the game because he was playing against his former manager who knew exactly how he was going to play and set his defence up to neutralise what he was doing. So you've got an Arsenal team that half of them didn't turn up. Some of them didn't start the match till late. We played as poorly or as jittery as I can remember watching in a good 6 or 8 months of competitive play. You've got a Man United team who played better than I can remember them seeing in 9 or 10 months' time. And they still couldn't win. They still couldn't create a clear-cut chance. They still couldn't create a chance where you're going, how on earth did he miss it? They still couldn't score. And fundamentally, they still can't defend a set piece. So You know, they can cry about. I mean, I saw something like all the stills and images. Oh, Saliba made contact. Look, I go back. There's nowhere in the football rule book does it say contact is a foul, right? And if you're going to put a pansy like Mason Mount on one of Arsenal's biggest attacking players at a corner, it's your own fault. Where's your own like towering header of a ball to mark the towering header of a ball? And at the end of the day, I think Raya showed it, didn't he? Did it? Was it the clearance like 52nd minute, 53rd minute from the Fernandes cross? Like, just got to be strong and punch the ball. Like that Raya punch, he had De Ligt on him, and he had someone. He was between two Man United players, and you know what he did? He jumped and punched the ball. He didn't fall backwards. He didn't cry about being touched. He just got on with it and punched the ball. And that Man United keeper just decided, I've been touched. I mean, he got his hand to it.
Yeah.
Like, just don't be weak.
They could have easily just left it up. Wow, something. Yeah, but no, I mean, just.
I don't know if you saw it. There was 2 goalkeeping errors on the Friday Saturday where goalkeepers were going for the ball, and instead of, I don't know, like, you know, I mean, I used to play in goal when I was like a little kid or whatever. The number one thing was save the ball, right? But I can't remember which club it was now. Was it the Sunderland? It might have been the 3rd Sunderland goal when the goalie's there and moves his hand and tries to go underneath it and lift the ball instead of just leaving his hand there. You're like, well, if you just leave your hand there, I get it. The ball could bounce into a dangerous area. But if you do this shit, they've already scored. So your dangerous area doesn't matter anymore. It's in the back of your net. So it was the same thing. If you got your hand to it, then at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, your own fault. You got your hand to it. So you should have done something better than limp-wristed, flop it backwards towards your own goal. So, because I think it would have probably gone in the goal without Calafiori anyway.
So, yeah, I think it was going in. Calafiori headed it in from 0 yards, didn't it?
Just a really limp wrist. So you've got to be stronger than that. You've got to be stronger than that. Man United have got to be smarter than that. You know, everyone knows how dangerous Arsenal are from set pieces. So, and I mean, from an Arsenal point of view, you know, I am happy. At the end of the day, it was a poor performance. You can, and like I say, you can chuck all the stats in the world you want, but they absolutely dominated the stats. They didn't create any clear-cut opportunities, and we've gone to. And you know what makes me most pleased is that I do think, and I know I've predicted Man United will finish 5th. I think I saw enough in the Man United attack that I do think Man United will be dangerous. I think they'll get more dangerous. So from an Arsenal point of view, I'm chuffed because now I know that Chelsea, City and Liverpool have all got to go to Old Trafford. When as far as I can tell, Man United will only get better. And we got out of there with 3 points. So we didn't look good. We got our 3 points. I think it'd be a totally different match against Leeds because Arteta, what I liked about Arteta's post-match was that he was clearly pissed off with the performance. And he clearly, you know, was openly saying we weren't good enough. We were giving away the second balls. We were losing the duels. You know, we can go away to Old Trafford, like I say, and most of our attacking players not turn up. I thought Zubamendi looked really good. I mean, God knows what the hell the referee was thinking, booking him on that flipping 50-50. Just scandalous. But I thought he looked good. You know, Gyökeres still lacking match fitness. But I go back to, I think, when you actually look at the runs back, I mean, there's probably 3 times I can remember where Saka should have crossed the ball first time, but because he's so used to not having a striker, and he's so used to cutting inside, and he's so used to shooting himself, you could argue it was quite selfish of him to not pass it. But had he passed it, I think Gyökeres would have had 3 good chances. So they've got to get used to playing together. It was the same as Zubamendi. I think one of the reasons Rice looked so out of it is because him and Zubamendi are still working on their link-up play and how they bounce off each other, which him and Partey had down to a T by the end of last season. I think Zubamendi, when you consider Zubamendi was quite isolated, I think Zubamendi had a cracking game. And I think what I did like was, you know, you look at the substitutions, you know, Havertz looked really strong coming on for Gyökeres. You know, I think a few people, I think they said it on Sky when they came on, you could argue that Lewis Skelly and Jurriën Timber should have been our first choice fullbacks. And they're coming on in the 75th minute as absolute fresh legs. You're like, well, you could argue they should have both started the match. So, you know, the strength in depth now of the defence. I think you had Mosquera on the bench as well. You had Nwaneri we didn't even use, who could have come on for Odegaard had we been pushing for a second. That was probably the only thing that depressed me a little bit, is that, you know, like I said about Sunderland, it was nice to see Sunderland in the 90th minute pushing for that 3rd goal. What frustrates me as an Arsenal fan is you know, and I think he played well when he came on, but seeing Kai Havertz running for the corner in the 86th minute, like, why? Just go and score. Put that second goal in, and Man United would have been deflated and game over. Whereas instead we had a nerve-wracking 6 minutes of overtime because Man United could still have equalised. So, no, do you know what? we've gone to Old Trafford on the opening day of the season, a ground that is tradition. And trust me, I remember many sad results at Old Trafford over my time as an Arsenal fan. So we've gone to a ground that's absolutely bloody horrible to us. Hardest match of what I would say is the top four. The hardest match. Already having the pressure piled on us, seeing Liverpool score 4, seeing Man City score 4. So already we've seen City and Liverpool win. So you got that in your head as it going, shit, we're already 3 points behind if we fluff this. We play badly. And yet we don't concede any real red flag chances, and we come away with 3 points. And so I would go, do you know what? We've come away from game week 1 with the hardest match of the top 4. We've come away with the 3 points. All right, we're slightly down on goal difference, but we had the hardest match. And I say I'll flip that on its head for the Man United fans. If there's any,
you're already thinking about goal difference.
So I think when you think about those top 3 teams, I think there's every possibility the league comes down to goal difference. It's important. I genuinely look at last season and the season before. It is crucial, and I'm not thinking about goal difference as such, but it's an awareness. If City score 150 goals with Haaland, 150 might be a bit extreme, but if City score 30 goals more, it is like having an extra point in the bank, in it. So it's important. So and I do think we're in a league position now where every result is analysed. Let's face it, this show exists like other shows out there because analysis is what everybody wants to talk about, right? And but I think they look defensively solid. I think the wing backs look better. I think Cunha and Wemmer look dangerous. I think if you had Sesko on the pitch as he gets fitness, I mean, they showed enough. Let's remember from Man United point of view, I suppose, they didn't score, but I'll go back to you're playing statistically and factually the best defence in the league for the last 2 seasons. Arsenal are the best defensive team in the Premier League. That is a fact. So they've showed more than enough capability to blow away 2/3 of the team in the league, because 2/3 of the team in the league won't be able to defend as well as Arsenal defended. So I think they've shown enough to say they're going to be scoring a lot of goals this season, and they'll have a lot of success this season. But they couldn't get it done the day, and that's the sum total of the game. Isn't the only stat that matters out of all of it is the score. So happy. I would rather have watched a little bit less jittery for the 90 minutes, but I am happy overall for what I thought could easily be an banana skin for us. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. To be fair, there was spells where both teams had moments where they looked good. Mbeumo looked decent at stages. Cunha probably should have done better with his chance. So Sesko came on, didn't really make an impact as such. Gyökeres again. For them to, we can all sit there and go, they were poor this weekend, but it's the first game in the Premier League, and I don't think anyone can judge these players until after 10 games, then we can judge them. But overall, after that result, are you happy with the squad? Do you still think it needs improvement?
So as I touched on about a couple, I'd like to see us sign Eze. I'd still like to think we can. I still like to think that as a boyhood Arsenal fan, if we wanted him, he'd still come to Arsenal. I'm just not sure they're going to put the bid in. I still think they're looking to bring somebody else in. I still think they want one more attacking player. Madueke looked okay when he came on, but my argument would be he should have scored that chance that Saka created for him. Again, that would have been 2-0 at the 91st minute. That's game over. But I'd like to see one more attacking player, probably. Like I said, I would like it to be Eze. I think that with his Premier League experience, that Rodrigo is the lesser of the 2 choices. But I do think that Arsenal think maybe Rodrigo is the way to go. But I definitely think there's someone else to come in. I definitely think Arsenal are going to bring someone else in, and I think it probably needs that because the left side did look a bit weak. But other than that, I liked the substitutes. I liked the strength in depth. I liked Marino coming on for Rice. I think looked good. Say Havertz. So I don't think we lost anything. I think Havertz for Gyökeres, Marino for Rice, the 2 fullbacks. I don't think we lost any strength in our substitutions, and that is a huge step forward from last season. Massive step forward from last season. Last season, every time the subs came on, we got weaker, and teams knew that. Like, we weren't getting stronger with the substitutions. We were just putting fresh legs on, but the skill level dropped. Whereas this time, we had the legs and the skill level didn't drop, and I think that's a big change for us. That will mean a lot going forward into playing, teams who should be more open with us. So, yeah, I was pleased from that perspective. What I saw, I'd like to just see the first team play a little bit more I said, they just looked jittery in the first 10 minutes. I don't know what, but I suppose you got to put in that Old Trafford atmosphere, aren't you? Like it was, for all you hear the online social media shite and talk sport and United stand and all that jazz, like in the ground, as far as I'm told, like the atmosphere is still and has always been resoundingly positive and fanatically aggressive in support of Amorim's team. So it's a cauldron in Old Trafford. But yeah, it's a cauldron that got burnt.
Okay, so obviously we've all got a fantasy football team.
Yeah. Have we?
Not going to spend too long on it because obviously it's the opening weekend. But at the top of our league, we've got Jill, GB Wanderers.
Gilberto
Standing start.
She is sandbagging again. She rocks up. She pretends she doesn't know what she's talking about. She pretends she hasn't got a clue. And there she is, week one, top of the league again. That woman is a dark horse.
She's definitely
dark horse if you're watching. Outrageous.
Yeah, I think for me, I think the wild card might be getting played early. I think I think I've already seen some deadwood in my team.
Well, I'm not going to lie. At the minute, that Milos Kerkez looks like £6 million down the drain. he needs to see the bin quite quickly. I think Liverpool defensive side of their game. I think what was going to be a safe bet around Liverpool defenders has gone out the window. I don't think there's any safe bet on Liverpool defenders this season. They need to go in the bin. The attackers need to come in. But yeah, and I don't know. Maybe I'm questioning my life choices having a couple of Chelsea players in there now and they look so flat. To be honest, I thought they were going to be significantly better than that. But like I say, it's opening weekend. I think last year I dropped wildcard after about week 3. I proper panic bought, but I've got some changes in mind, but I don't think any panic buys will be coming in. To be honest,
I think I might make one or two changes this weekend, and I think I might give it till about week 4, and then potentially drop the wild card if I'm not happy. Because anything past week 4, you're chasing. Then I don't want to be chasing. It took me half a season to catch the top of the league last year, so
we're already chasing. I mean, I've just had a quick flick through. Can't be long left now. My outside chance, my only hope was that little Jack Grealish pulled me some points back tonight, but that ain't happening. Leeds are winning 1-0 we're into injury time. So I don't feel Mr. Grealish going to pull many points back because he wasn't in the starting lineup. So it's been a poor do for my attacking part of my team, whereas my defense. What I might have to do more often is captain David Raya because he bagged me 10 points, but I captained him and it bounced me right up.
Tell you what, the way the defenders are scoring points this year, it might be a defender that's getting capped for me this week.
Right. Well, this is what I mean. Like it could be the safer points the way the scorings work. So it's not started. It's not started well, but it started at the end of the day. Do you know what I find the hardest with fantasy football is? It proper messes with your head. So like yesterday, I have Dorgu in my team, you see. So I'm like, when he hit the post, I was like, oh, he could have done with the goal. And my dad's like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't want him to equalise. I'm like, no, but Dorgu's in my fantasy football, so I could have done with the point. It messes with your head.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have you caught yourself cheering a player to score and it's like you look around and people are giving you the eye. It's like, wow.
I know.
Roll-flood shirt.
It's good, isn't it? The thing I do like about it, I mean, I like Premiership football anyway, but more than ever, it gives you interest in every game. You're looking, whoever scores or whatever, you're looking for where your defenders are. Is there a clean sheet? Anybody scores, you're like, right, where's the assist? Who's got the goals? It just gives you that bit more spice, doesn't it? And obviously, there's a little bit of banter at work as well is always nice. I know we've expanded the league this year, so we've got more than just us folk at work, haven't we? But it's still nice to have that banter at work and all. So this is good.
I'm enjoying it.
It's not started as well as I would have liked.
Well, we're checking in on the fantasy team again next week, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I think that brings us to a conclusion tonight for this evening. I think
next week's results. Have you had enough?
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood what you said earlier. I thought you wanted to do that and then go through it like we did. But yeah, we can go through the next weekend's results before we close off.
What we'll do is we know that Nathan likes to sit on the fence, so we'll say that Nate calls everything a draw because that can be his penalty for being on holiday, sunning himself in somewhere. Where's he gone? Turkey, Greece, somewhere.
One of the two, yeah. One of the two.
So he can have a penalty for being away on holiday. In fact, we can have his penalty, but next week he can put up his picture of his budgie smugglers while we go live, and he can entertain you lot with that little package, and he can have a draw for all his results, and we'll see how we get on.
I think what I'll do is I'll give Nathan a cheeky text, and I'll see if I can get him to ping over his results before the week's out. What we'll do, at least then we've got something we can ribbon with on Monday.
You're soft. You see, this is that killer spirit that Newcastle lack, right? This is why you'll never be champions.
Right, okay, the Friday night we start the Premier League's round 2. It's West Ham against Chelsea. Is this where we see Chelsea start?
0-0, bore draw. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not. Chelsea 3-0. West Ham look appalling. So do Chelsea. But you know what? If anybody can give a team a lift at the minute, it's playing West Ham and the sheer disheartedness that is a Graham Potter team. I'm going 3-0 Chelsea. Bounce back.
Then we've got City.
What about you?
Oh, sorry. Right, I'm flying through it. So I've gone for a 2-0 Chelsea win as well. I think Chelsea will.
Good luck.
Chelsea will get a comfortable win. Just based on the fact that West Ham look so poor.
They just look lacking belief, and I think I just can't believe Chelsea will be that flat 2 matches running. I think like you said, they got a lot of young lads. So I think that kind of cocky young lad pride might come out and be like, "Come on, we're not losing to this lot." So Chelsea win. Yeah.
Okay. City and Spurs.
Oof, I tell you what, that could be 9-9. That could be anything.
That's fair. That's the 12:30 kick-off.
That could really be absolutely anything. That game. Is it at Spurs or at City?
It's at City.
Oh no. Wow, the way Spurs defend. Well, they look more organised under Frank, don't they? I'll go 4-2 City.
Just roll 4-2 myself.
Wow. Great minds. I just think that match could be anything. Spurs have got a good history against Man City. They do look more organised, but Man City just look really fired up at the minute, and I just don't think Spurs can hold out against Man City at Man City, not with all the firepower that City have got now. So, 4-2.
4-2. Okay, then we've got Brentford against Aston Villa. Where's Nathan?
Well, that's devastated versus devastated in that game. At Brentford.
At Brentford, yeah.
1 each, 2 each, 2 each. No, 1 each. No, I don't think either of them can score. So 1 each. Maybe even 1 each. We'll go 1 each. I just think both of them look poor at the minute.
I've gone 2-0 to Villa. I think they'll get a win there. Yeah.
Did you not watch the match on Saturday?
Yeah, but I think Emery will change it around. I do think he'll make improvements to the way they play.
Change it around with what? Their bench has got pensioners on it. They've got no bench.
Didn't say anything positive from Brentford.
No, but they still scored. Which is better than Villa. I'm going 1-1. That's my colours.
Burnley at home against Sunderland.
I tell you what, do you know what? That's gone from being a relegation thing to actually that could be a really exciting game. I'm not going to lie. 2-2.
2-2. I've gone 1-0 to Sunderland.
It's a proper championship game. I don't know what the scores were last season, to be fair, but I'll go 2-2 because I think Sunderland have made a lot of changes look good, but I also think Burnley at home will do better than they did it at Spurs. Pitch is smaller in it. Turf Moor's not a pleasant ground to go to as a visiting team. So 2-2. Okay.
Your boys against Leeds?
Well, hopefully the real Arsenal will turn up. The bus can't get lost very far between the Emirates and the Emirates, can it? So, although Leeds have just won tonight, haven't they? Is it over? Leeds have won 1-0, but it was a penalty.
Yeah.
So, 1-0 at home with a penalty versus. Do you know what? I've got to reckon as the boys, and I. So, 3-0 Arsenal.
Yeah.
I think the real Arsenal will be back in town.
I'm going to go 2-1. I think it'll be a little bit closer than you expected. When I say closer, I don't think you'll run away with it. I think Leeds will potentially still always be there. I think it'll be comfortable 2-1 for yourselves. I think what I'm trying to say.
That's fine. It's one opinion. It's not the right one, but, you know.
Then Sunday's games, we've got Crystal Palace against Nottingham Forest.
that could be a real spicy game. That that could be a really good match. That I'm gonna go 2-1 to Forest. I think Forest look really well organised. I like Palace, but I suppose the caveat this far out is whether or not Eze will still be a Palace player. So my assumption there is that Eze will still be a Palace player. Yeah. I think if Eze, I suppose Gehi as well, to be fair, because rumour are Liverpool coming back in for him, aren't they? So, I guess that 2-1 assumption is based on Gehi and Eze still being there. I think if they leave, then I think probably 2-0 to Nottingham Forest, but we'll go 2-1 for now while they're still Palace players.
Okay, I've gone one apiece for that game. I think it'll be a close tight game. Probably cancel each other out.
I think it'll be a really good game.
It potentially to be a great game, yeah. Oh, bastard just died. Then we've got Everton against Brighton.
Well, after tonight, I mean, it depends what he does as Everton, doesn't it? I mean, they looked really flat tonight. Well, Leeds dominated. But I think Brighton will have too much for Everton. I think 2-1 Brighton.
I'm going to go for the Sunday classic ball draw.
I think Brighton will be pissed off about the draw with Fulham. I think that'll be enough to get them over the line.
Fulham at home against Man United.
See, I think if they play anything like they played against Arsenal, I think 3-1 Man United.
I've gone 4-1 Man United.
Ooh, yeah. I think, like I say, they showed for me on Sunday. They showed enough that they're going to score goals against a lot of teams. And Fulham didn't show a lot on Saturday. They showed some fighting spirit to get that goal towards the end, but I think Brighton could have got more if they wanted and been further in front. So
I think if Brighton had a bit more teeth, they probably won 2-3-0. 2-1 to be fair. Brighton, Fulham scored that late goal, didn't they? But I think from the majority of the game, it looked like Brighton were in control, just too flush in front of goal.
Yeah.
So on Monday night's football will be live during this. It's Newcastle at home against Liverpool.
What have you written down, Sean, as a Newcastle fan?
I've put 2-1 to Liverpool.
Is it your head battling your eye? Is it?
Look, genuinely, obviously, I'd love us to beat Liverpool at home in front of at home for the first time this season. Given everything that with the noise around Isak, it'd just be a good fuck you to Liverpool if we, beat them comfortably at home. I'd love that. That'd be a great spectacle for myself. But realistically, I'm just worried we're not going to score enough goals. I think it's all right as midfielders scoring, but I do think that not having a natural number 9 is going to cost us. But you only get so many chances in the game, and the right player's got to be there to put them in. You can't rely on Gordon, who's a natural winger. So yeah, I do think I'd love us to beat Liverpool, I really would, but I do think realistically it's a tough ask. I'd take a draw, but I don't know. I think given Liverpool's fragilities at the back, I do think there's opportunities for us to score goals, but I think again I go back to the point we're missing a key goal scorer, and we'll get them opportunities. I might get one or two of them. They've got to finish it. Whoever it is that's on the ball at the time has got to finish. And I just don't see us gaining too many opportunities like that. Fingers crossed, I'm wrong.
Who does 2 questions for you before I tell you what I think? So, and you can let me ask the second one before you answer the first one. So, does Isak start that game? And if he does, which badge is he wearing when he starts it?
He won't be starting that game.
Really? For either team?
He won't be starting for either team.
You think Newcastle at the very least will delay the transfer till the week just so that Isak can't wear a Liverpool badge?
If there's noise around him moving, then there's absolutely no chance on hell that Eddie Howe's or the club as a whole are going to let him play against us that quickly. There's no chance that turnaround's happening.
Fair enough.
Ideally, there's noise around Real Madrid sniffing, so ideally, if they come in with bid, 120 million, off you go, see you later. Thank you very much.
And what do you do? Start with Whistler up front?
It doesn't look like Whistler's going to get his move now, does it?
Well, it will do if you get 120 million in, won't it? Because you can match Brentford 60, 70 quite happily.
Yeah, but we won't be paying him for that. He's not worth 60 million, is he?
Well, that depends. It depends what value you put on not having a striker in the whole first half of the season, doesn't it? Like, it's true, though, isn't it? Like, what
It
he's
is
worth.
true, yeah. I'm
What
not
he's
going to
worth
argue with that,
is
but I
relative to
also
what
know
you
that
need.
there's sensible prices that Newcastle pay, and 60 million for Whistler at 28. Just not going to happen.
I'll be honest, I'd pay that for him.
35 million.
If my alternative was no striker till January, what does it matter if you pay through the nose 20 million quid for him? Like,
PSR. If there was no PSR involved, it wouldn't matter that, would it?
But there is no PSR because if you've sold Isak for 120, PSR is not a problem, is it? So
Still a
if
factor, though.
it's not, is it? Because you've got 120 in and you put 60 out. So PSR wise, you're 60 million up.
Yeah, but still,
I
know what you're getting at. I know what you're getting at.
You saw the game on Saturday. Like, do you think? So bearing in mind, every single Premier League place is worth 3 million quid. So do you think that Newcastle, you've only got to be 5 places better off with Whistler in the team than without? Like, you think about like Arsenal season last year, how many draws because we couldn't score goals? Like, you could easily see Newcastle suddenly drawing 5 or 6 games they should have won between now and January without a striker. Well, like you said on Saturday, there's a draw that should have been a win if you had a striker.
Yeah,
so it's not what Whistler's worth. It's what the goals and the position in the table is worth to Newcastle, isn't it?
I get that, and I get your point. As a fan, just throw money at someone to be fair to get it over the line, get someone in. But at the same time, you're not gonna be forced to overpay for players.
I think it's a long autumn and winter to January if you don't have a striker.
If we don't have a striker, it really is. Probably tap into the free market or the low market if they have to.
Tell you need my masterstroke. 50 million quid for Mateta. That's what you want to do. Screw Whistler, get Mateta. That's what Newcastle do.
I'm genuinely surprised nobody's gone in for him.
I'm staggered. Absolutely, you know me. I absolutely love Mateta. I think he's brilliant.
But
back to where we were with the original question. If you're going to tell me that Isak's not starting that game, then I think 4-1 Liverpool. I just think their firepower. I think they can't defend for shit. But I think if you're telling me that Isak's not going to play and that Newcastle won't have Whistler or any other striker, I think you'll get some sort of goal on the counter because I think Gordon's really good. Elanga looked dangerous. Did Jacob Murphy play on the weekend?
No.
He
came on as a sub later on, yeah.
But I think, like you said, you've got enough quality midfielders that looking at how.
Sorry, you said Ramsey. Sorry, I got him mixed up with Murphy then. No, Ramsey didn't play. He wasn't in the squad. The transfer didn't get done in time. Sorry, I thought you said Jacob. I got mixed up with Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, but I think Liverpool will work on their transitions this week, but they were so bad on them. There's only so much you're going to complete in a week to make it look better. So I think Newcastle will get some sort of goal off transition where it's not so important whether you're a striker or not because anybody could be running through. But I just think Liverpool will end up being camped in your half, and I think they've got so much firepower now that I just don't think you'll be able to keep them out. Let's go 3-1, not 4-1. I don't think they'll get 4 against you. Let's go 3-1. But I just can't. Without that proper outlet up top to hold the ball up and let your midfielders come through, I just don't think I think you'll struggle to. I think you'll struggle to get out your half because whoever's up top will have a completely thankless task and won't be experienced in holding the ball up. So I think you'll clear it and they'll just come straight back at you. And I think over time that will just tell because they're just so tricky.
Just throw down Charles.
I think it'll be a hell of a game.
It could well be. I mean, Elanga used to play down the middle for Man United, didn't he? He's had a couple of run-outs down the middle.
But he's looked so much better on the left, hasn't he? Yeah. Like, he just, a bit like you were saying with Gordon playing out of position, like it's really frustrating as a fan when because to be fair to Elanga and Gordon, to be fair, I can't think of actually, to be fair to Eddie Howe, any Newcastle player who doesn't run their ass off with a shirt. So as from that perspective as a fan, you've got to be happy with the squad, but you've got to reflect what a thankless task the players have got playing out of position against the best team in the country. Like, you've got to remember that. Like, they look shaky at the back. They're still the best team in the country. I just think without a proper striker, that's a long evening for whoever's asked to play up top. And it's hard for the midfielders because they're going to have no one to look for. They're going to have no one who's naturally spinning in behind, unless you do that and you try and. Who was it who did it last season? It wasn't Tottenham, but someone played. Unless you played, like Elanga and Gordon, and just be like, right, I just want you to literally, the 90 degrees between the halfway line and the edge of the pitch. I just want you to sit there. Midfielders, Jolin and Guimaraes, when you get it, all you're going to do is bang it over the top. And we're going to trust the fact that Elanga and Gordon are faster than Konsa and Van Dijk, and sooner or later they'll get to the ball first. Sorry, not Konsa. Canate, sorry. And we're just going to trust the fact that sooner or later they'll get to the ball first, and the other one will be running on the other side. So you're just going to, all you two boys are going to do is run your channel and look. The other one is going to run to the centre, to the penalty spot, and you're just going to look for each other. And sooner or later, one of you'll connect, and that's the strategy. But without that, I just think it's a long evening without a striker.
I mean, the good thing is we're at home under the lights. The atmosphere will be absolutely rocking.
So, I mean, I'm frustrated for you. It must be so frustrating as a Newcastle fan because. So you look at some of the performances Isak had last season against Gabriel and Saliba, against Van Dijk and Canate. Like he made him look so ordinary, and knowing that he's still on your books, but that he's definitely not going to play. I mean, like I said, I'm frustrated for you because you're just like fucking hell. Like, I'm sorry, but like I suppose it's
disappointing.
But it's frustrating. It's so frustrating. Like I said, I'm not even a Newcastle fan. But like I say, from what I've heard, and obviously maybe you know more than me, but if that's the deal the club offered him, it's kind of their own fault. Like they promised him he could leave. It's not. They kind of can't be surprised he's pissed off that it's not his fault they didn't get the signings over the line for the strikers. But it's just messy and ugly, and the whole thing should have taken place behind closed doors. It's just
it doesn't help that journalists get their hands on certain sources and certain notes from agents, and it can blow up to the situation I've got now, where it's
unfortunately modern football, isn't it? It's just modern football. Unfortunately, it's just not very.
I just hope that it doesn't start a trend of players now just wake up one morning and go, do you know what? I'm just not going to turn up today till I get a move now. Do you know, it's player power. How much does it weigh these days?
Well, unfortunately, it's going to get worse, isn't it? Like if this ruling from Europe holds true, where players can just cancel their contracts and transfer fees aren't worth the paper they're written on. I know what they'll do is they'll just rewording the contracts and it'll change the way contracts are written. But in the short term, it's going to be a right bloody mess because anybody on an old contract could just wake up one morning and write them off.
Yeah.
And the club can go, hang on, I paid £100 million for you yesterday. And they're like, it doesn't matter. Rules second go. Like, I mean, it's going to completely uproot the whole market, isn't it? But we shall see. It's everything changes, right? But
it does.
We're glad to be back, though.
Glad to be back. And, we'll catch you guys next week for another review next Monday.
Arsenal on 6 points. You heard it here first. Anyway, right. Absolutely.
We shall see you all tomorrow.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.
Next week. Take care, guys.
See you later.
See you later.